Good evening. You're listening live to the Extreme Movie Show. I'm your host, Rob, broadcasting to you from the Pine Hills Palace in the Extreme Studios just west of Orlando, Florida. I have from the Great Midwest, 1RDV. Tonight to share in our conversation, our last conversation, actually, of Season 3, Episode 8 of Reacher, the Amazon TV show. And I'll start off by saying this as we were talking backstage. I'm pretty excited to get into this episode because normally with James Bond films, the template, the third act is kind of a snoozer to me. I could care less about the big bang shootout and all that. And even with Reacher, I was pleasantly surprised that they toned down some of the stuff they tried in season 2. And I was really hoping for a strong finish here in season 3. And RDV, I got to tell you, just when they went and gave us a season 2 that is really not that memorable to me, they went and fucking nailed it, because this is to me, no question, even though I think season 1's a little more magical for a lot of reasons, this season probably technically was the best ever, and it has to do with the strong start and the strong finish, because they nailed it here in this last episode. And I'm going to be honest with you, I was scared that they wouldn't, and it was going to affect my decision on talking about all 8 episodes here too. But we'll get all some key scenes in here and all that too, but I was surprised start to finish. I thought there'd be 1 or 2 things I would not like. I know we took bets on what we thought would happen and to whom and how.
Yep.
But wow, pleasantly surprised. Like we said before, can't wait for season 4. What's your initial take on this last episode?
Before I get into that, I was watching an interview with Alan Richardson talking about this, and he said like about the different seasons. So he said like this said so far, he's like, his goal is just like, and this is really good to hear because I've heard this from Tom Cruise, is to keep making the action bigger and better, to keep it coming in, because he's like whenever it comes to the show, he's like, I'm always nervous this is gonna be the last season, because that's the way shows are. You're like, you think you're doing well, and then they tell you the next day, yeah, we're not coming back.
Yeah.
But he said like, I love the first season. He's like, the second season was different. It was different than the first Reacher, but he says these are the seasons I like. Reacher being on his own, having a small cast,
Yes.
And so yeah, so. And also, I learned from our friends of the channel, Eric Breen, said that Neagley is getting her own channel, and apparently Duffy might be going and joining her.
Huh.
Yeah. Which I don't mind, because I think those two would work well together.
Who would have thought that?
Yeah. Well, anyway. I'm shocked. Yes. I'm sure you are. Anyway, so yeah, so this, we had ideas about, what's going to happen to Beck. Him and his son. We didn't know what's going to happen. Is one of them going to die? Are they both going to live? Happy ending? Blah, blah, blah. So going into this, we also we got the cove, where they throw bodies in, and it's like is that going to come back into play? Will Reacher going against the big giant Goliath, I guess to say? David versus Goliath, even though Reacher's like a Goliath himself. They're going to fight. When are they going to fight? How is this guy going to get it? How's Reacher? Is Reacher going to use an equalizer? He's going to use a gun, or no? We also know coming up in the last episode that the deal's going down in the compounds. So they have to get back there too. And Neagley was basically following them back to the compound. So there's a lot. And then as far as what's going to happen to, we know that what's his name was going to die, Irwin. Or no, what's his name? You didn't hear Quinn? Xavier Quinn?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then the Russians. Are the Russians coming back? Were they a one-time deal? So there was a lot of questions answered in this, and honestly, I enjoyed this as much as you did. Maybe a little bit more. Who knows? We'll find out in a few minutes. But honestly, I thought this wrapped up pretty well. Some of it felt a little bit rushed, a little bit. But I did like the subtle humor with the sense of dread and danger, and just everybody played their own part, and at the end it came back, and honestly it was a good ending. Like I said, you can see with there on the little thumbnail, it's time to move on. Reacher gets a motorcycle and drives away to this overly cheesy music, that's happy, upbeat.
Mm-hmm.
But so I said, hopefully he's driving into season 4 of it. They have listed on IMDb. There's going to be another season. I don't know what's going to be though. But man, I don't know if you can top this season. And then because honestly, we like season 1. Season 2 was kind of like a weaker villain. Didn't really care much. I love Robert Patrick, but it was kind of like, it's okay. And then we get back in here, and then we get another cheesy kind of villain, but we also added more to it. So I don't know, but let's get into this one though. Obviously, we left off where last episode they learned it's going to be an ambush. It's in the ATF. Is a trap. So we start off with Reacher with a sniper rifle, just picking off guys like you do in a video game. Boop, boop, boop. Headshot.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like Hollywood Squares and Dawn of the Dead. Jay Leno.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love this. And then they show the scope scene and everything. That's going poop, poop. People falling back. Reacher going down there. We also got Duffy, and then Villanueva is the other cop that's with her going down, and they're all three of them are taking out the bad guys.
Daddy V.
Yes, Big Daddy V. Kilmero Villa. So that would lead into basically after they save Beck, they end up going into driving the trucks back. That's their way to get into the compound. With the fat cop driving, the semi poorly. I love it. They made it like I would have thought in today's society they would not make fun of fat people. There's a lot of fat jokes in there in this series, which is kind of relief for me because I'm getting like not that I hate.
He's not the kind of fat that people really want to shame. I mean, he's obviously an older guy but all that, but he's a broad dude, But ribbing, you're absolutely right.
Yes.
There's no shortage of them.
Yeah,
you're right. It's refreshing. You're right. You go, man, you don't hear these anymore.
And I love it. The guy sticks for himself. He's like, back in my younger day, I would have took you, beat you up. He's like, no, you wouldn't. And he's like, yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, you're right.
But I like I said, like this humor. I love this. So as they go back, they they went to the wrong side. They know where to park stuff. And Reacher heard he killed the driver. He'd left alive. And he's like, what? I didn't have any rope. So this leads to the big dude, Paulie. So we get Paulie versus Reacher, and that goes on for like
3 rounds.
Yeah, 3 rounds. They fight, and they end up going into eventually. This is the best part of this. Falling into the cove. Them fighting underwater. And Reacher trying to get out of there, Paulie bringing him down, trying to drown him. Oh my gosh!
I didn't like that it was at night. That's a complaint because it hides a lot of things.
It's CG.
I will say this.
Remember,
I know.
Yeah.
It was done very well.
That's true, though. I always wonder this too because I know there's CG, but there's also it's like some of it looks real because the water's going up and like this, the rocks and stuff. Yeah, he's like, I wonder if they actually filmed it with an actual, well, obviously not with Reacher, like the actor Alan Richardson, but I wonder if they did stunt divers in a different location, and then put it. They look like it was here because remember they're going underwater. That thing they said how the undertow sucks you under. They get sucked under. Nasty, he swims under to the side, and then Paulie puts him between his legs, tries to choke him under the water, until he checks him in the throat. You see Paulie just float, and they're like, "Okay, kill the bad guy." The guy's open. He's like, "Drill this." Reacher gets out, and we go back to the scene. Remember where Reacher was walking after he swam and left the compound?
Was a great visual. This was actually one of my favorite scenes, just watching the show. I preferred this to the actual fight underwater in terms of what I was looking at.
Yeah.
Because Reacher's walking out, and we've seen this before, right? Where he's walking basically with his underwear on.
Yeah.
And then he's kind of limping because he's gotten his ass beaten. It's cold weather. And then you see that shadow behind the way it's lit. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me? And he's limping too.
Because prior to this, them fighting in the cove was they had fought in the barn.
Yes.
Forgot to mention that they fought in the barn first, and Paulie had basically wrapped the chain. After they were fighting, and then they both got buried under all this like soil or fertilizer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he took a chain wrapped around Reacher's neck, and then he pulled him up on the pulley so he could basically choke him. But Reacher lifted himself up, pulled the bolts out of the beam, and I love this because Paulie's like, you got to be kidding me. Because he hears them, and that's when they find in the cove. So it's like, Reacher says the same line, like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
So I kind of love the same kind of subtle humor in that.
Now, the horrible James Bond intelligence of him just not killing him outright, that didn't bother you?
Well, remember, this is the meathead. This is, the Jaws thing. He's dead.
And it was cool because he's hanging them by a chain, and they're not afraid to show us all how the violent collisions, which I appreciated. Not a lot of quick cuts.
Yep.
And so when they have the camera on him and he flips upside down and he's choking and he goes to pull it out, I thought he was maybe going to like hook his legs or something and then, be able to take the chain off. No, they did the muscular way, which of course is to yank the stuff out. And of course, you would have to fall down doing it. I loved it. I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is, because you did hear him when he fell. Boom.
Yeah.
You didn't see it. So this leads back to, remember we were seeing that light 50 cal gun?
Yes.
It's been hanging a chain in Paulie's office. It's been there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Reacher goes into the office and he's going to use a gun, but then Paulie hits him and stuff. Then they get their fight. And Reacher smashing Paulie's head with the monitors.
Yeah, good stuff.
I love the scenes because they show like Paulie on the camera coming in, walking in, and Reacher too. So they show you the angle of the TV screen before they even enter the little thing. And this leads to basically, Reacher, is getting his beat up and he's pinned against the wall. Paulie's got the gun, but Paulie's being stupid, didn't realize that Reacher had basically jammed the gun barrel. So when
you didn't know that watching it.
Yeah, and oh my gosh. Well, we saw Reacher was grabbing the bullet. What do you call it?
You wouldn't know that if you don't know guns, and you might only suspect it, depending on if you've read the book or not, or whatever. But it happens so fast. But the way they filmed it, you can't sit there and go, "Oh, that's bullshit." They just threw that in at the last minute.
No.
It's
You saw Reacher grab the belts of guns, and he yanked on it and did something with it against the gun. And then so Paulie's like, "Haha, I'm gonna shoot you," and he fires it, and it backfires and kills him. He's like, yeah. Yeah, and Reacher's like, you may be all tough and bronze, but you're not smart. Yeah. It's like Reacher's intelligent, and I love they play to that because otherwise, most would be like, oh, Reacher's a meathead.
Reacher wasn't going to win.
No, he had the cheat. Yeah, he had the deal with gun thing. Hey, when your life's on the line, nothing's not off the books, Yeah, but so he takes out Paulie that way. Then Reacher has to go in there. Meanwhile, Neely basically took the other fat cops, Villanueva, whatever,
Big Daddy V.
Big Daddy V, yeah. Not to be confused with the other singer. But no, he gives her his shirt and his dress shirt, and then he grabs Beck's vest, and then she poses a waitress. She goes in there to follow what's going on. Meanwhile, we have Duffy going upstairs. She's given a master key, which opens everything, a skeleton key of a door, because she's looking for, what's her name? Teresa. Teresa, who we had heard from while overhearing with I keep forgetting his name is Quinn. Yeah, Xavier Quinn is basically says that, she is up. We got to finish this deal. He's talking to the other Arab guys, and there he's like, "Yeah, we need to finish this deal so I can go. I got things to do." And here's to sweeten the deal. Here's a key. There's you gotta get your red hat. He shows a photo of her of Teresa decked out in that green vest, drugged up on the bed. He's like, "Here, have some fun," And after the thing, so that's going on. We also know that upstairs we have Teresa finally finds her. And then to make things even worse, we find out that the one of the guys, one of the buyers, had sent his other buddy up there, to go up there. I guess he was talking to the second hand man, like the right hand man, because the main guy, that guy's known as goes up, he's gonna have some playtime. He's pulling his pants off, and then you see Duffy comes out and is like aims a gun. He's like, "No," and he's like, "You can't shoot me."
Can I say it?
Yeah. What's that?
Can I say it?
Go ahead.
Dick shot.
Yeah, pretty much dick shot. Yeah. She's able to fire the gun because if she had because at that point she fired the gun, she didn't worry about the goon out there, but she hears a gunshot, which is actually Big Daddy V went to go get Richard, and before he could find Richard, he's walking on this guy. Goon comes out of the bathroom. They fight in the bathroom.
Let's pause here for a minute.
Because.
I know when you've asked me about the characters, there's a couple things I'm going to say here, and they're both going to be positive.
Yeah.
Neely, her character, I liked the best version of her this season. We see her the least amount. It's still forced to me. There's no reason for her to be in it. I don't know if she's in a particular book or not. It's obviously the way Amazon wants to go with the spinoff show. That's fine.
Yeah,
That
that's the
being
point.
said,
Yeah.
she did really well. Now, Big Daddy V, I told you, he surprised me because, yeah, the fat jokes or whatever. And then all of a sudden he gets into, honestly,
A scuffle.
a fucking great fight in a bathroom with this dude that shows us, you know what? I'm clapping right now because I've been waiting to see the shit out of you, Big Daddy V. You're in my respect. Take my money because this was a great fight.
Yeah. Before they get in the fight, though, like you said, he has him gunpoint, has him drop the goon, puts his gun in the toilet, close the lid, but then he grabs the gun, knocks the gun, and they're fighting. Yeah, and then because we keep seeing this electric razor that's still plugged in.
Oh yeah,
on the bandit.
Yeah.
That's coming into play soon.
Yes.
Oh yeah. So they're fighting, and then the guy goes for the gun. Well, Big Daddy V throws his the razor, turns it on into the toilet, zaps the guy, and then checks him, knocks him out.
Yeah.
And then as he gets out, the door, or as he's laying there, he's like breathing. He looks over, the door open, and it's Richard. Because Richard had heard, he's like he was down below. He's like he heard someone scuffling and fighting. So, as
this
they're
was cool. You've got three groups, right? You got Reacher on his own. This is why when they infiltrated, they had to split up, right? That's why when they went to the front, they were supposed to go to the back. So Reacher's off on his own. You've got Big Daddy V doing his own thing with Richard. This is cool. Father's kind of in the background right now, and you got Neely chasing the bad dudes. It's simple and effective storytelling.
So the reason they heard the gunshots was actually heard from Reacher. Reacher went into the warehouse, the barn, where all the guns are, and he's like, just got a crowbar. He's just shopping. And I'm thinking this is the commando scene where he just grabs everything.
Oh, yeah.
I was waiting for that. I was like, oh. And then he's like, "Don't want the gun here." He's like, "No, I want the little shotty." And it looks so tiny in his hands because he's so freaking huge and ripped. He's like a little stick, and he shoots the guy who's on the other side of the door. And you see the guy gets knocked up, and you get this bald guy. He's like, "Oh, fucking Richard here," and he shoots him too. And this, of course, is what Neely and everyone else heard gunshots outside from the music, and this makes Quinn paranoid. He shoots the guy, grabs the money, and he runs out. And during this scuffle, Richard ends up getting a gunpoint taken hostage. They go into the main office where all the guns are, and he's like, "Don't you fucking move!" It's like, "I'm just reloading, get some more ammo, get ammunition, firepower." And as he's there, we see Bex only comes out there, and Bex, got the silver handgun. You're like, and he's like,
you knew what it was, right?
You knew right away what it was, and they show close up that it's the Roy Rogers. And this what happens in this scene is like kind of symbolizes it's like what's the relationship between of Beck, a good guy and stuff, and to him this basically he's had so much luck in this point, and of course after Richard goes over him, the epoxy comes off. And it breaks off. You knew right then and there.
Slowly, where it just starts to bend.
Yeah.
Oh, that broke my heart because it reminded me of what we talked about before.
Yeah.
The good stuff between father and son. It was character driven.
We had a huge scene last week. I knew something bad was going to happen.
Yeah, but that's the whole point. We need to have a payoff when we're emotionally invested in the characters there.
So when
the whole thing with Reacher in the town with him when they were looking for this, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that as a kid. I'm like, oh, that is kind of a good thought. Hey, this son's he's a good guy.
Yeah. So of course he ends up getting shot to death by Quinn, and he's laying there. Richard goes over and basically hovering over him. He's like, no, don't worry. It's like, I love you. It's like, and he's like, it's like I'm proud of you, son. Just the heartfelt moment there. And then of course this Quinn flees leaves Richard behind. He goes out there. And then we get the Russians are outside waiting for him at the courtyard. And they're pretty much like, yeah, bro. It's like, we want our money. And they grab him, but he doesn't have the money with him because he got distracted. So, and then we see Reacher comes out the shotgun. He's like, that bitch is mine. And the Russian's like, no, he's ours. It's like, he's like, I answer someone higher up. So it would be so great if the next season continued with the guy who higher up wants to go after Reacher now. But I don't think it will happen because Neely comes out with the duffel bag and here's the money, and And because originally they weren't going to come out, he's like, Reacher, you're one guy, all these guns. You know, the Russians are like, fuck you. We got all the firepower. Duffy comes up. Here comes Big Daddy V on the other side. We got Negan with the gun. He's like, we got 4 guns. He's like, and like, here's the money. That's all you want, right? You know? So he's like, if it's avenge, and you know that he's not going to back down. They base the Rush Bobster takes the money, leaves them, and tosses Xavier Quinn over to him, and he's like, Xavier Quinn starts to
hey, who says Russians are the bad guys? That was
know, right?
business.
Exactly, business is business. You know, yeah. So Xavier Quinn's, you see him right there. He says, "Remember me?" Because and he's like, "Hey, I'll give you whatever you want." You know, he's like, "You seriously don't remember?" He's like, "I was like, I don't know who you are." He's like, "No, you tortured her." And then he gets a flashback. He's like, "Now you remember." And they zoom out, shoots, and Richard shoots him in the face, kills him with the shotgun. I thought it would be like a little more brutal, but it was just like a quick thing. And I love this transition scene here. This is really talk about the cinema. They zoomed out of the courtyard, and then they go over to where Richard basically is in or actually no, it zooms out, then it's daylight. All the cops are there, the ambulance is there, and we see Richard is in his room.
Yep.
And Richard comes and talks to him, and he says like, what am I gonna do now? He's like, well, here. What you do is you go grab as much money as the house, and then you take the car and you leave before they know anything is up. Because he's always said you always wanted to drive out of here like a bat out of hell. So go do it, and that's what Richard does. And you see Richard walking out, and then and he's grabs he goes in there. He sees this motorcycle, and under this tarp. I thought it was really cool too. I think I have a photo of it too. The actual full right here, and sweet looking Harley Davidson. So I got a joke. Every time I see like the boxes, I think of like the warehouse in Indiana Jones.
I know, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
So he grabs this, and then you see Richard wheels it out. He grabs a jacket and wheels it out. They're all busy looking at everything else over where the guns are. They don't even notice it. Like, hey, where are you going with that? Like no one questions it. I thought it was like, is it really, guys? But he wheels it out, and then as he wheels out, he's getting ready to go on a bike. He looks over, he sees Richard getting into the cars, and Richard kind of like nod each other.
Cash.
Yeah, big cash, and it's full. Like, I mean, I'm just thinking how much he's got these. By quite a
couple $100K at least, I think.
Yeah. And he leaves, and he drives away, happy. Meanwhile, we see Duffy. Basically goes up to with Big Daddy V. They go to the Elliott's house where they're gonna give him the badge and the DA stuff to the Elliott's and let them know that their son has died. Inform what's going on. We learn that Duffy is no longer working with the DA. She was forced to retire, but she has one more stop before she goes back and talks to Reacher. She goes and delivers Teresa to her grandmother. We get a happy reunion, with that. So it's so good. So Reacher ends up talking to just where he's to leave. He talks to Duffy, and then basically like Duffy kind of like lets him down. She gives him the Reacher explanation, which he gave to the other girl. And he's like, and I love it. He talks to Negan. Negan is like, "What the hell?" He's like, "Yeah, she just gave me my letdown. I'm the one that's supposed to do that." Like, she's like, "Yeah, basically, I'm single. I don't have time for marriage and stuff. It's like I want to wake up, do what I want to do." Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cute, kind of funny, like that. But and then we get this scene where Negan offers Duffy, hey, I can put a word for you if you need a job. And after this, it's pretty much Reacher just driving away. And
Benito.
Yeah, that's it.
End scene.
I'm trying to think of anything else that we didn't talk about.
Well, I just want to
Big Daddy V seeing his wife.
Yeah. Well, because he brings flowers home to his wife, who's basically looking at him like, I'm gonna fuck you as soon as you come in the door. He's kind of nice. He's the man.
Yeah.
So some of the things about the 3 seasons. I mean, one, I think, for better for worse, still stands out as the best. 2 was a shit show. It was a show that Amazon tried making and calling it Reacher with all the extra action bullshit. I said it before and I'll say it again, and I believe this season definitely holds this up, is that when you get to watch stuff unfold like you did this season, whether it's the maids, right? Or in this case, the son and the father who's, he's a bad dude, but, he's been kind of forced to do a bad thing. When you see characters kind of develop and all that, then you get the payoff at the end. That's all you need. You don't have to have a long expository rant about government agents and how we do. Nobody gives a shit. We don't care. There were some things that you and I pointed out that, like security cameras early on in this estate and other things too. This is gonna sound like I'm shitting on it. That's not meant to be. There might be some things that are dumb when you think about, like, how the hell does nobody hear him when he's on that tiny little Get smartphone in his shoe? But it wasn't so bad compared to season 2 that it made you kind of question, because they'd done everything so good up to that point. You're like, maybe I could let them get with it. In other words, they earned the ability to not be 100% perfect with the writing, which is crap in season 2, in my opinion. And it was a lot stronger in this one here because they focused on the basics and did a very good job executing. You and I even talked about the big bad guy. We saw him early on.
Yeah.
You get the visual. They don't really have a fight, but you can see you had a preview of this fight, right? When they were doing the barbell lifting, Reacher outsmarts him by making him hit his own face, but then he gets the one punch, he gets fucked up. Yeah. Then they come back to it. We don't need them to fight for 20 minutes. We get a good fight at the end. That's all we need.
You bring up the cameras, but here's the thing: they bring up the maid. If she's a secret undercover ATF agent, and they didn't know that she was killed, did she at least say, like, hey, there's a new guy named Reacher, and they wouldn't have done research? ATF, who's Reacher guy? Oh, he's a military guy.
Absolutely, they would have.
So that, I thought that was kind of dumb with the ATF when they said, like, and they're like, they had no idea who Reacher was. The other thing would have been better if she wasn't an ATF agent, if she actually was working for the Russians, a Russian plant. That would have been great. Drawing more into the Russians involved with this. If she's,
you know what, I said what I had to say about Neely, but let's talk about the Boston cop female.
Yeah,
the one that bangs them, because we know that's
Duffy. Yes,
Duffy. It's a character. I thought she was fine. I don't know if people would hate the fact that she might seem a bit stronger, girl bossish kind of thing, where she beats up informants. She has this whole thing is on the side, and she's so emotional, and no real experienced person would do that. I kind of didn't care. I just think maybe as an actress, and I don't know her or know what she's been in, I thought she did a really good job. That's not an easy job. We see her a lot in the season. I thought she was good.
Did you know that Anthony Michael Hall is actually from Boston? Originates from Boston. So when they finally, she said when they finally had a scene together, like, he's like, he complimented her on her accent. She's like, that's when she knew that she had it down pat, because she said she watched old movies and stuff with older actresses that were from, like, and just kind of did that. And she had a dialect coach because she's actually British.
Yeah.
There's Sonia Cassidy. So, and I was watching that extra interview with her and Reacher, and that guy plays Reacher, and she would go in and out of the Boston accent. It was so like fluent. It's like, oh my gosh. So it's like, yeah. I thought,
the fact you don't question it, like me, I had no idea she was British, right? But the fact that I don't even question it, okay, that's good.
Yeah. She sounds more, not Boston, sounds like she's more from, she's like New Jersey, kind of close a little bit. But yeah, well, honestly, she did a good job. So did the other cop, Big Daddy V, and then even the nerdy kid, Elliot, Detective Elliot. I thought he was him with the bodyguard, those two, they're seen in the cabinet together and stuff. Xavier Quinn came off, he was sadistic, but then when it comes to, he tries to buy his way out. I was like, really, this is how he ends? Like, he's not going to have like a shootout scene with Reacher?
I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I am. I just, he was the weak link to me.
I was hoping he would have done the whole thing, like he had his memory back, and he just like, oh, I'm gonna repeat Noel again, and face Reacher to basically have go after him again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would have liked that more, but it was just like a quick thing, and just like, and then like they had a conversation, and like, and he was talking to Neely, and he's like, and she's like, I finally figured out why you do this. And he's like, really? It took you that long? It's like, yeah. So basically, it's not because he has a sense of like vengeance. Like, no, he's like, no, it's where like I don't want people to think they're untouchable. They get away with shit. That's basically what it is. He's not afraid to basically end them. He says they have no room for society. He's basically a Punisher. Think about it. A wandering Punisher goes after the bad guys, takes them out.
Yeah, and the bad guy, even though he was a big lunk there too. He had what was he was saying when he was beating him up, or I don't know if he was going to pick up a knife or gun. He was like, "No, we do this like men."
Yeah.
Like, okay, I kind of like that.
Paulie
right?
is great. The few scenes he has talking, he is like, "Yeah, we fight like men. No stinking knife or gun."
I tweeted out this morning. Today, 2 people died actually, and I just want to talk about them real quick because one of them was related. Richard Norton, the martial artist that we've covered in the Magic.
76 years old. Yeah. Magic Kingdom or what was it?
Magic Crystal.
Crystal. That's was.
And another one of the Cynthia Rothrock movies too that she was in or whatever. And he would hit you, and his little catchphrase was painful. That looked painful, And that was kind of cheesy, but it was good. And he was so good. And then I saw something where I tweeted something out where like somebody that worked with him, he showed up at his house and he kind of did this impromptu thing, like whatever. And I thought, hey, how cool of a guy to come and spend some time doing that. But the other thing too, the other person that died, which name might be lost on you, is Reacher. Look, we call this a TV show, and it's 8 episodes. TV seasons used to be like 22, 23, 24 episodes. Occasionally you would have like a multi-part thing, like movie of the week or whatever, like Roots or something, right? But you had Richard Chamberlain in The Thornbirds. You had him in Three Musketeers as a movie. He was an excellent actor. I think he was like 90 years old. Always brought the goods, or like that too. Not a martial artist or anything like that. But there was a time when you go, man, like this guy is the king. You see him in everything, but you don't know who he is. And the one thing Richard does do well, and you said it earlier, and it all comes back to this, it's really at its best when it's just him in some faraway place with a small group of people that we don't know.
Yes. I hope he grabbed his toothbrush up before he left. That's all I know. They didn't show it. But no, I was gonna say Richard Norton was friends with Robert Patrick. I learned about the Robert Patrick. Really talked about it early last night. Last night. So, and then it was all over Reddit and stuff. They didn't release the cause of death, but it said the guy was 76 years old, and it's just like it wasn't. I don't know if he had a stroke or a heart attack or whatever, but just saw him 2 years ago, and they were hanging out together and they're promoting it. He's talking about Robert Patrick. He's like, dude, like this guy is like, trained under Chuck Norris and all that stuff. And it's just like, it's just like, he's the real deal. He's been a bodyguard for multiple celebrities, Yeah. So, I always remember his the kook or hokey, criminal that's trying to tackle go after the kid in Magic Crystal. I always remember that first. But they were in another movie with Cynthia Khan though, and I thought So anyway, but overall, it sucks that he passed away. Honestly, I want to go back and do some more martial arts movies. Martial arts movies are really well on this channel for it. I guess it's just that the niche that we found. So I really want to go back to doing some of those. I love doing this regular like TV show reviews like this too as well. So, but those are like Desert Rose. You're in the chat, or anybody else who's watching this on the replay. Let us know down in the comment section, like what is something that we haven't done in our catalog, that you think that we should do that fits well with this channel. Because we do a lot of. It's called Extreme Movie Show. So we're looking for like the best, like extreme action, extreme, martial arts, or and just like extreme TV. If it's something that we haven't done yet, you think that would fit our personalities, if you watch us enough, let us know down in the comment section down below, and we'll check it out. I'm always looking for it, even if it's like a foreign martial arts movie where it's only in subtitles. I don't mind. I want to see awesome martial arts.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was. Look. Every time you get a year and you look back on what you watched and you remember what comes in and out, a lot of it you forget and all that. I hope that for the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, or even longer, possibly, assuming the quality is there, I would love to get that warm fuzzy that it's the springtime. I'm going to get a chance to watch me a season of Reacher with the weekly drop, so it's not all whatever dumped at the same time. I'm hoping in the fall that they have another season of the Vince Vaughn monkey detective thing, like Vince Vaughn, and that was kind of a surprising thing. And it's unfortunate because we don't have those standard things where, like, if you were watching Miami Vice back in the day, the ratings are solid. They're going to have a season 2. it gives you something to look forward to and build up your excitement for it. And then when you sit down and watch it, I think the analytical stuff of what might turn you off goes away, or it's more likely to not happen. You give it some benefit of the doubt. And so to me, the way they're writing it, they're not rushed. That they have the callbacks in there, like with the gun and the setups of the characters. That's how you should do it. It's not a secret. It's simple, but you got to do it. A lot of TV shows these days refuse to do that. I don't know about you, but I'll just mention this is one of the last things I'm currently watching. But been watching the new Daredevil season and
Born Again.
Yeah, and you know what? With what you do on the Geeky Puppet Show, you've got a lot more knowledge here. So I'll simply say this: I'm not saying if it's right, wrong, or good or bad. The show's 90% talking. Spoiler alert, I think they kill off the one dude at the very first episode with Bullseye.
Yes.
It's really horrible CGI.
It's been great
introductory fight, but other than that, all they do is talk. And you know what? Kingpin, I don't know why this is, or if it was a storyline. He's in couples therapy. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
So here's the thing. This is based off did you watch all of the Netflix? At the end of Netflix series, pretty much.
I did. I just don't remember them.
So in the third season of Daredevil, Matt Murdock, his identity is known public to Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, and they make a deal. They won't go after, leave each other alone, And so basically, Wilson Fisk, Kingpin in the Born Again series is basically he wants to get away from the Kingpin status. He wants to go after.
He wants to be mayor. Baby face, right?
He wants to be mayor. Well, that's the thing. I know. You're left wondering, is it really or not? Without spoiling it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Main character, big friend of Matt Murdock's, is killed in the first episode by Bullseye.
Yep. This
causes Matt to basically realize that he no longer wants to be Daredevil anymore. He wants to try. It's just like he's lost his faith pretty much. And he's, because while he was too busy fighting, like I said, like we don't know why Bullseye targeted him. We still don't, hasn't been revealed why Bullseye targeted his friend. Right. But Matt someone blamed himself. We get an awesome episode. I think the second or third with Frank Castle, Punisher, talking to him. Says like, dude, you have survivor's guilt. You're blaming yourself. It wasn't your fault. It's like you need to forget yourself. It's like you think you don't see my wife and kids every day. I wake up, and I blame myself every single day. I'm living it, but you need to keep moving forward. You can't just let the ghosts haunt you forever,
There's definitely a religious philosophical thing to Daredevil.
So as the season goes on, you're going to see Matt returning to being Daredevil again because he's pushed back into it, even though he wanted to give it up. He doesn't want it. It's like when in this comic books, when Peter Parker decided he don't want to be Spider-Man anymore because Spider-Man, everything it happens is bad in his life. He blames it on being Spider-Man. So he wants to be Peter Parker. But then he realized that he made a mistake, and he's forced back into it. He can't escape the life. Mm-hmm. Same with Kingpin. He's learning Wilson Fisk. He's realizing there's consequences of him not being in the Kingpin. He's shown as weak and stuff. He's just he's trying to amend things with his wife and stuff. So
is this the first time we've seen Kingpin with his wife?
No, she was in the second and third season.
Okay.
Daredevil.
So the whole thing is that she had the affair. They're talking about it.
While they're gone, yeah.
That sounds mature. The whole thing of him trying to adjust, his two policy givers are fighting with each other. That's fantastic stuff. Yeah. But the only time I creamed my pants and went, oh my God, this is actually intriguing, is they kept focusing on him like eating food, really slow pace and all that. And he goes down to his man cave where he makes his decisions, and we see he's got he's got bloody knuckles, and you're like, does he like punch himself? Is he nervous? Is he fidgeting? Is he getting ready to snap? And then you realize all along he had captured the person that his wife had an affair with, and I guess has been giving a guy daily fucking beatings with his fist. Yeah. Personally, I thought that was hot shit, but what does that have to do with the story? I don't know. So
no, it shows that the guy cannot escape who you are. He's still, and he's going to revert to being back to being Kingpin again. And now they introduced another character. In the last episode, they had the Swordsman, who's from another series with Miss Marvel. Or no, Miss Marvel is a Hawkeye. Yeah, he's eventually he's a good guy. He becomes Avenger and stuff later on in the comic books. But anyway, you'll recognize it's also, if you watch Better Call Saul, that's the actor who played Lalo.
Okay.
Who's the crazy cartel guy.
It's the old great philosophy of Frank Zappa. You are what you are. You is what you is. There you go.
A leopard can't change his spots. Like I said, it's a slow burn, but it's paying off. At first, I was kind of like, oh no, they're gonna have, like, it's gonna be like get really bad. But honestly, it's been getting better with each episode. And that final episode, or not final episode, but the last episode, episode 5, looks really good. We get, I was a spoiler here. We see Daredevil back in the suit, and then we see what's going on with at the same time while he's beating up the bad guy. We see side by side, we on the other side we see Kingpin beating up, the other guy, and it's just like, it's just like, oh my god, the symmetry and all that stuff. And it's like, it's going to come to head. Well, it's awesome. I'll just say real quickly that show has been renewed for a second season already, and I'm looking forward to it.
Anything else?
Yeah, like I said, getting back the Reacher, said, if you've never checked out the actual series, it's available on Amazon. You can watch it through Amazon has a thing called Freevee, where you can watch. And that's how I'm watching Bosch Legacy, which is another show I'm really loving right now. Just came back, we dropped 4 episodes, and I've been talking around behind the scenes as far as maybe revisiting it and actually giving it an episode by episode review. I don't have to do all
definitely a character-driven show.
Yeah, it's a character-driven show, and it's great because everyone supporting characters are great. J. Edgar, the main lieutenant, Crate and Barrel, everyone, the supporting cast is just phenomenal, and it's Jason Kedrick as the Bane bad guy.
Yeah, and unlike Bosch, which you almost have to watch in order because seasons build on each other as far as connections and relationships developing. Reacher, you can watch out of order, though.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can watch that order. It doesn't matter. They don't rely on the others.
When you're talking about the seasons?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you're going to be confused because you're like, who the heck is this Neagley person if you don't watch like the first and the second seasons? So,
well,
So there are things you need to watch in order, yeah. Anyway, we haven't talked about this too much, and thank you all for joining us. Thank you for Jazzy Rose for showing up and watching live, and anybody else watching the replay. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you on Tuesday. I'll put a poll up tonight as far as that. It'll be our poll for Tuesday, and then on Sunday we'll have another poll for Sunday or for Sunday night movie. So we're getting back into that because this is the last episode.
Yep, we'll back to the Tuesday poll for Sunday movie.
And if you haven't checked out Adventures of Sherlock Holmes drops every Friday night at 7 Eastern.
The Naval Treaty, episode 3, just dropped.
Yeah. So, and now check out Logan's Run. That hasn't been getting much love. we reviewed it.
They voted it, and then they don't listen.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It was like a troll, though. We'll get that one front. But
good night now.
Later, guys. Let's just quickly put this here, and we'll do this, and
boom.
Comes a dynamite.